It is 6:00. Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. We're in Artesia tonight. This is fun. First item on the agenda is public comments. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, directors are prohibited from acting on and discussing any new items brought before them at this time. Citizens' comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Comments about any of the agenda items are appreciated by the board of directors and may be taken into consideration at this time or during that agenda item. Please complete a public input form if you desire to address the board. All remarks and questions addressed to the board shall be addressed to the board as a whole, not to any individual member thereof. So I've got several of these. Is there anybody else that needs an input form? We will start with Maria Vinales.
No.
Oh. Oh, okay. Okay. Bill Sykes.
I probably one was excited that I can't really hear about which you're going to do for the lady information on Magnolia East Valley, where it is from big for emergency. Also want to comment. As my understanding, if I'm wrong, they're responsible for maintaining maintenance of some of the green space, and maybe even responsible for the cleanup of the done. It's the RG Evergreen Syrian Peach. And the beauty of that, and where the contractor, whoever did it, and stepping up the logs and the trees are still out there. I'm trying to the position of that. Is that available for anybody to take? Is it going to be possible? I didn't say I saw one of the stacks that was knocked over, and so therefore I think saving them, the kids milling around or what have you. To say something that public notice would be nice to learn again. To make hard about that. So I'm sure we're contracting the rates for few things on the spot that seem to involve, such as the dead tree is right next to the school bus cathedral right here in Carriers Lake. Again, I see this as a hazard, and an example of how the dead tree is happening. Right, correct. There's a dead tree or an October tree on 1385 just north. Magnolia as you make the left-hand turn. So that's where you cleaned up. And again, this tree, if they fall, it can hurt a child, disrupt the traffic on Carriers Lane in Syria. So I think that should be something somebody should look at. And so again, I understand that that's an responsibility, not a stand responsibility. So I call it. Thank you.
Johnny Danger.
See if they said that Jeremy Walls was sitting there, somebody else uses it right now. But I'm going to run full time, whatever I've got already. I've been in this 15 years old, so I'm saying so I'm really interested in it. And myself in the shop. On the page, I'll probably see anything.
Very good. Scott Marino.
It's going on my question is regarding the proposed traffic light that's going to be out here at First Street on Beacon. My understanding is that project is now on hold. My understanding that project premier crosser, if the original proposal they're looking for a 50 split crosser, 50 whether I guess elements maybe that was turned down, then it was amended to go 25%.
fast turner too. So I just think that's something that needs to be considered out there. The school's gonna open up and we're gonna have nothing but traffic problems. It's gonna have any officers down there directing traffic. You're gonna have 16, 17-year-old kids burning rubber, getting out of there. You're gonna have a problem. That's it. Yeah.
It's on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, so. Thank you, sir. Dale Jenkins.
So when I read to get something when I read, on set board member and I heard, Artesia or having those two, it's not or bigger thing, but I guess. So, meeting in front of us, I'm here, which also, yes, team. Honestly, thanks for walking, thanks for easing us, thanks to the products. We can work to, within the greatest. Street, getting a lot of these issues like stuff. So all work. But first, I guess thanks for thank you for hosting.
Thank you. That's all I have. Are there any more public comments? Do I have a motion to close public comments?
Make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Any opposed? Item 2, the consent agenda. So we got the minutes. Purchase report, developers report, bookkeepers report.
I'd like to pull out item D from the agenda.
Okay, for the bookkeepers report. To discuss now.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve items A, B, and C?
I'll make a motion to approve items A, B, C on consent agenda.
Is there a second here?
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Any opposed? So, item B, bookkeepers report.
Yes.
Let you go over the whole report, or do you have back to the
I think whatever you were going to summarize, and then we had talked about opening a new account. So if you want to go into that, that's really what we need to do to prepare.
Think some of that we're gonna hold and discuss too in executive, and then if we need to take any action.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll whatever you guys want to do, or the James, will open that. Okay, so we don't need approval for the account. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Okay, so what you tell me else?
I think we will need action on it, but we want to discuss it with everybody and
Gotcha. Okay. Chad, those are my concerns. So maybe just give us a rundown on this quote.
So I'll do overview of the bookkeeping report. On page 1 of your reports, read all of your headings. On page 2, you'll see all of the that came in. So I'm ready to do legal speaking, going for this next sheet. Yes. Those originally were any of those associated that it was in the DIA week. The family proposal was finished for them now. So instead of going there from that we issued again. It's best. As far as items to be cases, pretty much their number of bills, all their cases all the way to meetings. It's made all the insurance in between meetings. One of the bills that are getting paid are for legal, all for I want to strong for energy and making I will say that can be one or two of our line that invoice from the seller claims from Joe that we are going to get. We got that invoice sent about that invoice in, so that looking for reports from $1,965. There's a new bill for the fire line systems, that's the medical line, monitoring service, and admin bill for me. Let me see if this is, you'll see the waste connection seeing the issue, for this cases that were not actually wired out. And then that's pretty much anything that was out of. Page 5, reserve added progress time. You will see the cross-home construction bill that is the F-15 going out by $484,638.68. That is a negative ending balance, so I am recommending transferring $482,000 from your Series 2024 utility account. And I do have letters for you all to sign for any transfers that are going to be made in and out of the funds. I did miss the one on the general funds. I am recommending transferring $300,000 for your Texas class general fund just over any current monthly bill that you be paid. And then another recommended transfer for $231,000 for your Texas class general fund. That is just for all of the payroll insurance that will go out on each two meetings. Make sure that there's one that is.
Jonathan, is that a motion during this item?
All of it, if you approve the bookkeeper's report as a whole, all the recommendations.
Move approved. Okay.
Page 7 on your property tax collections, as of March 31st, the district is 98.35% collected, so about $393,000 that's still outstanding for the district. Page 8 and 9 is scheduled debt service obligations. Your next debt service payment is due on September 1st, 2024. And then page 10 through 14. This is related to actual from August to March 2025. You'll notice that it looks very different from the previous one budget. I went ahead and summarized the budget so that it's easier to review. You can kind of see what's over and under. As far as our year-to-date budget, that is 75% of the year that we are in March, with 3 months left in your fiscal year next. So it gives you a better idea of expenses and your revenue set. So as far as revenue, this does not include the utility revenue, but property taxes, easement fees, and lease income, and PD donations. Those are at 103%. It's pretty much on target for your regular revenue. In your utility revenue items, those are at 79%. And includes all of the water, sewer, trash, fire plant items. Those are under budget. Those are mainly due to the traffic and the fire plant. But those are in line with your expenses. You'll see in your expenses that those are also. Page 11 are your administrative expenses. Here you'll see all of the legal, any consulting fees, any admin wages. So total administrative expenses are 102%. So pretty much on target. Your DNC council was not for this fiscal year, so we should achieve for that. Legal staff will include the trademark change and the and fees. And just to comment on this, he did do some switch day, and he did say that he will send it back. So we should really get that started. And in the bank and PCP, those are net discharges and things that will bank. They're charging about $1,200 to $1,600 a month just for bank fees. So I did the entry that and we asked them to remove the fees or made and will not return those costs. On page 12 are your operating expenses. This is where you see all the water and sewer, trash, fireman expenses. Crack and fire expenses start under budget that is in line with their revenue. As far as the fire for anyone people Jonathan on those items, and we should get an answer on those soon. Repairs and maintenance is pretty much all they're getting to a lot of that stuff and getting utilized. Page 13 are public statement expenses. Those are budgeted at 78%. You will notice they did not comment on a lot of those items just because I'm not very familiar with them just yet. So I would not want to see that actually it's finished until I get a little more with this. Page 14 are any other expenses. This is mostly the repair and several repair maintenance items and a lot of the funds that the district has. You'll see that a lot of them aren't utilized right now. A lot of the reserve items need to receive transfers over a lot of funds. So that those get approval over years. That's what I'm seeing that the reserve funds were initially set up for. And then the special repairs and maintenance, those just haven't been utilized just yet. And those are mostly the error. But other than that, that's all I have to look at the recording. Let's see if you have any questions on any of their bills they're going out for tomorrow or any other questions on their investment.
Just a comment that I think the directors will likely, I met with Franny and Jennifer earlier this week. We talked about ways to streamline, checks and check time, and our council, apparently just one signature needed, but council believes 3 signatures is much better, and I agree. But we could do something where we approve a list and then she's able to sign it.
Yeah, I mean, the feature allows for me to assign signing authority checks to either the board, the 3 people, to the treasurer themselves, to the general manager, or the agent. So you can assign that authority to that. So you're able to do that out. No matter what, all of them have to be approved by the agents. So
We can approve, right?
yeah, you can still approve, like, you're getting into the authority to sign checks that are approved by them. So we see it sometimes where really the treasurer will sign all checks before I have it done. You approve as well, you do order and there, it should be, so it's different than kind of what it was.
That sounded like a great idea to me.
But yeah, it's a, like the treasurer.
Right.
That's not. Yeah, well, it's whatever you do. I think the only carve out I would do is over a certain dollar amount.
Yeah.
So you and I are doing it during our finance committee meeting, and we'd also have Jennifer's time. So we'd still have the 3 signatures, but we can do it before the meeting, so we don't have to mix of staff with us.
I don't like the list of pro-Thomas.
So maybe a minutes.
Yeah,
With a cap.
yes, yeah, or what else? Yeah, it's totally sure. I was gonna say with the floor, but yeah, it's a tax.
So normally, way that it works, anything that you can report, like something. So let's say on our precise, I was on checks, anything that is on the report is the only thing that is. So you would approve it, I'm saying that would be to the office, and you sign everything is almost distributed. That's the way it works. Anything out of the ordinary that would happen in between meetings, then we would reach out to you guys. We still need 3 board members for approval, and so we talk about in the first before I sent that to them. And then once you approve that, then you would be able to sign that check. So that makes sense. So this is what you need for that and presents to me and then sign checks. So shouldn't be too many things that are out of the airtime. You need Jennifer kind of handles on. That's everything that's to be versions, we can kind of catch. There was a few kind of towards the end of 2024. But I have to see as far as looking at older stuff, anything really. I'm called that standard. The third last birthday, and just 2 weeks later. So that's kind of the way to go over and sort of for this skills I think.
Okay. Okay. It's all about that one. Thanks. I think we'll make it like an agenda on it.
Or should we turn it back to the finance committee to come up with a suggestion?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Need a motion for that.
if you're bringing that suggestion back to board for approval, like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna assume it now. It's right. Well, I'm going to say it's still the decision.
Question is working for.
No, it's great. Easy to follow. I think the new format's clean, so appreciate you talking us through that.
So the biggest difference, I think it's just how it was accounted for. Vehicle purchases, We spent 200,000 year-to-date budget, 55,000 transfer, but then we vehicle replacement. So it's a wash.
I see money to another service and fund.
I just don't like saying 365%. But it's not. Yeah.
You know, I can make that.
So it's, yeah. If we are on a budget. That's. It's like that, it's all. This is great. Have a motion to approve. Including the transfers.
I'll make a motion to approve the commission report.
Second. All in favor?
No,
Item 3. Our engineers report. Good.
Okay, so for tonight's engineers report, we'll be needing approval for PRT's invoice in the amount of $4,994 for the design of ArrowBrooke park and lot expansion. So this will be likely a monthly invoice and the work is completed.
Item 4.
Okay.
4,994.
For $4,994.
Parking lot design. Motion to approve.
no, that's the motion. This is a monthly payment, you said?
Yes. But they'll be invoicing us monthly. The total contract amount is $37,940, but they'll be invoicing us and when the design progresses.
Okay. That's what the challenge is to design. It's cheaper than a lot of other designs. Invoices. Have a second. All in favor?
Great.
Any opposed?
And another is to report on items F, through J, and on under the engineering project, we are still on track to start construction on the Artesia water system improvement. October of this year, and anticipated constructors completed October 26. And under the opportunity and district water line, we are still on track to start constructing December of this year, contingent on easement of the building. Let me know that. Wow.
So.
No,
Right, so we're on the storage tank, we are requesting bids.
Not yet.
That's the next step.
We're waiting on TCQ's approval.
So we should approval.
So when we get the approval, we will solicit for basic markets. Is that
For the conditions closer to our future for the product, we're building a larger storage tank. It's our elevated storage tanks, 300,000 gallons, and we're building a 1,000,000 gallon ground storage tank over behind Rusty next to our pump station. So that will give us a lot more buffer, so we don't worry about the water tower running dry at 5 o'clock on the afternoon in the summer. And so that's moving forward nicely. And the water line, it is necessary because we have to have extra capacity.
Well, the contract with requires a direct connection to the river. Currently, Artesia ties into the SAN system. I have a site currently on the must allow for the plan was always to that. This line provide Artesia water line and then your facility technically here in this in teach a help and skills or backup for this all that. So it's yeah, definitely.
Did you mention, and I apologize if you did, the acoustics here are not good for me, but the alternate capacity for TCEQ, is that still pending or? It is still,
That's
pending.
okay. So the alternate capacity.
Okay, so then,
What I did, I understand. Well, that would be error.
The extra, but we have to solve that through PCC and waited on that.
gotcha, thank you. Clear that up.
See, you don't see.
So last month, there was after my service from my end. And I found some information on. So I did request for the cost for others, the sidewalk as the perspective, and we're looking at 55,000 to add that sidewalk. I sent the request to 5 contractors, but I got 2 quotes back for the environment. But we usually, but no issue. And I did have one the amount of $21,084 for the option 1, which was just remove the existing curve and regrade to the edge of the pond. And the second option, which was to replace the retaining wall and regrade just as it's currently is, that I got one quote to be $38,060. And the alternative quote that I got was for one, I got $4,800, and the option 2, $18,750. But the second quote, is part of the historically underutilized vendors. We have revised this in the past, so I'm not sure the quality of their work. But for AIDA, we have moved them with the city of Salina multiple times, but the price difference is 5 cents. We can have additional discount with that, or I can still reach out to the more contractors.
Oh, thanks, in order. Sidewalk, remind me, how many linear feet?
It's about 700 feet.
700 feet of sidewalk. Anything. This is something that's to fill up the needs. 55,000, Jonathan, can you come out of the road?
I mean, it allows. Well, I have one that's a good with AD and road repairs.
It's a width of the sidewalk.
That's 6 feet.
Is that what it's, there currently?
If I can get it.
Now, the artist is for the one that is like right in front of the targeting. It's just that one strip.
that didn't sound horrible. Is that?
So then I will make a motion to approve the sidewalk extension.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
That's
Any opposed?
Renee.
Next. Okay, guys. The erosion, we were looking at grading or retaining. And you are more in favor of the retaining wall solution. And you have 2 bids, one with a known contractor, 22,000, one with a lesser known for 18. think we should probably go with the 22,000 contractor.
It's 38, actually, whatever.
38 and the other.
Right?
So I have the option one, which was, the debt rating was 21,084. For the contractor that we have created them. And the option two, which is with the retaining wall, is $38,060.
How long is this affected area?
It's about 80 feet.
I think you mentioned one was more permanent than the other.
Yeah, the one with the retaining.
Yeah,
I don't like the grade.
yeah, it just seems like we are gonna have to do that every so often if we don't just fix.
And you can give them a try,
What was the total again on the retaining wall?
38,000.
I'd make a motion just to go with the retaining wall there. It looks bad and it's a permanent fix, yeah. 38K. Be my motion.
Is there a second? All of us.
Nine.
Just to confirm, we're going with the one contractor that we went.
Yes. Yeah, 38,000 bid with the retainer. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
I'll get on my side.
That's fine. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the engineer's report? All next motion is reading the report, please, very second. All of there. Any opposed? Item 4, review critical roadways for district facilities.
We do have it's a critical facility strategy that identifies districts facilities that are required and are needed in the police training. We are still required to make sure that state and other local authorities so what this is what this district. So this is what it is. It is been approved last year. There are a couple of changes that need to be made about changing the safety of contact. Something comments. This will revise the current sure the both stretch change.
Still doesn't list our building up here.
Local buildings not there yet.
Oh, okay, but we can't list it now. It had an address.
Okay, so you already had.
Well, I'm saying this.
So yes, we will update to make it with order.
That's a facility.
Jonathan, you said there's no address for the building?
No, this list of really center of town water and sewer. So we and I need to maintain those. Not going to some strict blackout or just those. So long and have a building that's a secret that we don't have currents. Or it's smaller. So we can't have a building.
This is because everybody was losing water power 4 years ago.
Facilities for like.
Yeah. This really doesn't have anything to do with whether or not we can operate our facility or there's power out or utilities. Yeah.
Yeah, it does say comes there on here, so I would put on. Maybe an unpopular opinion.
I'm saying responsible.
Okay, should we get another one? We got there, so we would be.
Do I have a motion to
Authorize the updates.
authorize or something? Including the building.
I'll make a motion.
To their second. All of it.
No,
Any opposed? Item 5, Review emergency preparedness plan.
So I sent this out to your, resolve to your shore. Prior to maintaining for this service time. We review this every year to make sure that all the information is correct. But then there's this, the state, make sure that all the people, authorities, so and state us and all rivers, water. Saying the only updates we can do on this system is, the information, that will be updates on this, just ask conversations, updates, work with, Slider, operator updates.
No, and this one it still says Denton County Freshwater Supply District 10.
Yeah, when this was put in place, that was amended this year, and since we also have to file a warrant for change thing, so if this comes up again, it's going to be filing. And it's easier to just fill us that and fresh function as far as who's calling this.
So what I have has old information on it. Chris Cox, you brought that in.
Yeah.
We're going to update what needs to be up.
So let me ask you this. If you don't necessarily change the name, but I don't know what the equivalent of the DDA is or whatever, but make some kind of reference of this is Elm Ridge. That way, people don't just see that it's got the old name on it, like we ignored it and didn't do anything. We've acknowledged it and put it on.
Also, seems like we're gonna make it.
Yeah, the government equivalent DDA.
So motion to approve the update. A motion to approve updating the emergency preparedness plan.
I'll make the action.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Any opposed? Item 6, preparedness report regarding Artesia utility system. Claim her.
This, no, I'm all right. And this, front page we have here is 31 day production. 13.594 million gallons pumped in both pump stations. Second page is Harper Road pump hours. Pump hours are relatively the same. Everything looks good. Page 3 is the fuel pump station pump hours. They're all relatively the same as well. No issue there. Next page, we have Popple Road and Teal Parkway, core residuals, fleet levels and practice for the month. Everything was within range and normal. Page 5, we have all 31 sample sites used for the month to collect core residuals. Everything was good. Page 6, we have generator pump hours. Everything tested properly, ran fine, no issues. 7 and 8 are back T sample results. Thing was absent. Look good. And the last page, we have a breakdown of the water distribution and the meter division, work orders for the month. And the water division, we have 31 days before the checks, 1 day grounds, home safeties, 4 dead end flush lights, 2 chlorine analyzer bottle changeouts. Meter division had 4 check the leaks, 1 door hanger, 4 meter rereads,
7 new occupancy start readings, 3 non-payment reconnects, and 13 service disconnects.
Questions ready for some?
Yeah, exactly. Question, Josh? Seems like our readings have slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed that, the next question, we have proper reason.
Because it significantly lower this month than it was last time. Last month. Yeah, I agree, so.
It floats those things out that causes rereadings.
Possibly, they're not, translated properly. So they could just the start of those a week there. From that, off track. Let's see. It's awesome.
Director's questions?
Well, after we were talking about replacing the main, it's been 500.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring budget to the budget workshop, and decide if we want to stage that, how we want to do 500 at a time, we'll break it down. There are at least 500 that have reached that critical age that need replacing, so it just makes sense that maybe we break it down in thirds like that. But we'll discuss that, at the budget workshop, so you guys make that decision.
I did 500 here to see what's for, right? Sure. Well, that's such.
Absolutely. And maybe cheaper later.
Do you have a motion to approve the operating report?
And the motion?
Is there a second?
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, general manager.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to start my general manager's report, kind of giving a kudos to Brandy, for coming along, and I wanted to thank you all for engaging with Diane program. I feel like that was a very wise decision, given what it's taken over the last month for us to really get into accounts and change information and user accesses and update everything. It's been very tedious, but Brandy has an eye for detail and does not give up easily. So it was a process that I definitely needed her assistance with. And so I'm grateful to her and for you all going with their team. We do not currently have a candidate for finance director for which brings you all. Earth Tones has now started the landscaping schedule. True Green's last date of service was supposed to be the first week of April, but with the rains, they actually showed up last week and possibly even yesterday to kind of finish out their contract. But I wasn't updated of that. So I got resident and board text saying, hey, they're back out there. Anyways, they finished out the contract. This is the last event that you'll see come through on.
So they owed us. They hadn't finished their last.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So from now on, you'll see Earth Tones. And kind of going into the next step, just to kind of cover ArrowBrooke Park, we have updated the locks on the building, but the driveway repairs seem to be holding up right now. I'm not sure that that is a permanent fix. I've asked Earth Tones to take a look at the sprinklers along that drive too, because I think that's impacting how wet it stays. So I'll have more information on that, but I think we're probably going to have to tie that into the change orders for the park driveway as well. At least just move the dumpster. But for the moment, we'll see how the weekend goes with the rain. But if it's semi-dry when they go dump the dumpster, then it's filling up. If it's raining when they get there, then they sink. So Chris started his tenure with the maintenance position on March 24th, and kudos to him. He jumped in head first and started knocking items off of the list that we've been holding, such as, random building maintenance. We still have Mr. Carr's services as well in the overlap. So anything that he couldn't get to, Chris was able to jump in and start knocking the list down. That includes, sign repairs, replacing signs that we had that were down. He's gone back out and started replacing those. We're going to bring a whole budget presentation to you all during the workshops of how we feel like we need to repair those signs so that we're not chasing them every time the wind blows. There's the options, obviously, to replace the entire unit, the pole and everything. But we did order a different style of bracket that should be in next week that we're going to try on a sign, and that would be a much more cost-effective solution. So that's our first attempt. So I'll let you all know how that goes. Chris has been establishing working relationships with the HOA staff members and addressing issues that they're sending over to us. And I've received quite a bit of praise, especially from Sloan. She said, job well done selecting. So kudos to you all for that. And we'll have some items at the budget workshops that he's going to need, just general tools and things that the district does not own yet. So you'll see those come through. Along the greenbelt areas, you will see that there are piles of stacked wood. These were from those removals of trees from car services. Bucky, without spending many hours trying to get the trees that were down from the storms, a lot of trees that have been down for a while, and his moving through there, chopping those, stacking those. That wood is available first come, first serve. I'm actually going to reach out to the HOAs to let them know that they can push that information out as well, and we'll be posting information too, so residents know. I know it's not, the ideal time of year to be burning in your fireplaces or anything, but it might be a good chance to grab a stockpile for colder weather. And any that's not removed, we have a plan to move that, dispose of that. Generally, I think what Bucky would normally do is take it back to the maintenance water tower building. And then bear with me, the term for slicing the wood in half. What is we have a splitting it. Yes, we have a splitter at the maintenance building. Thank you. As you can tell, I'm not a lumberjack. We have a splitter at the maintenance building, and he would split that and then stack it outside the gate. And that seemed to fly very quickly once it was split for sure. So any that's not disposed of, we'll take care of. I would like to hear board feedback, just because I wasn't involved in the very beginning with alerts, especially through Triton, how they're getting to push out information, and kind of get your feedback on your expectations of when we're using alerts, what you prefer them, kind of some guidance. I know we've used it for impending bad weather or critical emergencies, but I wanted some feedback on items, especially as we get into. We have several missed waste connection bulk days have happened recently. Those type of items. Do we want to use
The text.
Yeah, the text. Because there is a cost, in case.
Pick up.
Yeah, I think that because people are going to ask us on social media.
So we can discuss that in our communications meeting and determine because there's going to be some things that we would say yes, and something we might not want to push out via text that we just push out via website or something. So we discuss that.
I think the only pushback I would have is we don't want to be too overly, like every little thing.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Let's discuss it with the communications committee, because then we can limit and kind of define what goes out, and then people aren't getting so many texted just to call it.
Yeah. But you can target it to the neighborhood. Like I got one that's like Artesia, I think was missed or something, and I kind of wondered why about that. It's not a strategic, but
Right. Like, so it lets me know that we should.
yeah, that's true too.
Well, and that's the feedback that I need too, because I know you all see the residents on the tracker as well. So when those start coming, just kind of how you expect us to tie all of that together. So communications committee would be great. Thank you. The Association of Water Board Directors Annual Conference is June 12th through the 14th in San Antonio. So if anybody would like to attend that, let me know, and I'll be sure to get you registered and make sure you've got a room to stay in. We will be closed. All administrative offices are closed tomorrow for Good Friday, and that's also non-critical police station. For neighborhood updates, events, and requests, our spring bulk trash days. Artesia had theirs last weekend, and from everything I've heard, it's very busy and feedback was wonderful. It went smoothly. So that's exciting. ArrowBrooke is Saturday, April 26th. And Savannah's had to be rescheduled due to a weekend of torrential rain. So Waste Connections helped us rebook that for May 7th.
Yeah, thank you for pivoting that quickly.
Absolutely, yes, and that's a big kudos to our rep at Waste Connections. He was able to get with the vendors and cancel that, and then really kind of heavy-handedly ask for another day. That might not have been a smooth option. Let's see. I attended the annual meetings for Artesia and Savannah and addressed residents just to introduce myself and kind of update everyone on the latest news at Elbridge. I did discuss this earlier, but we will have numbers ready for budget workshops to discuss sign repairs. That's been a huge request from the HOAs and from residents. So we'll have a plan in place to bring to you all for that. For trash collection service updates and issues, March was a difficult trash month. February seemed to go pretty smooth, but obviously it's less days too, so that helps. But we had 13 reports on the trackers about missed pickup. I did speak with a Savannah resident who really had to dig his heels in. He paid for an extra bulk pickup that didn't happen, and had proof of payment and then was charged again, and the pickup still didn't happen. So he addressed it to us after he had already resolved the situation with Waste Connections, that he filled me in to let me know what was happening. So they've now decided that they're staging that pickup for him. So I've asked him to keep us in the loop if that actually takes place or not. So I'll update you all on that. So I get an end of day report from Waste Connections. I've heard that, but every service day they send me an end of day report. They say if everything was collected correctly, or if there is a plan in place to come back tomorrow and finish. And we had 3 different dates during March where it was the bulk pickup. And it seemed that they were not able to get all of the bulk up. And so they were having to come back the next day and finish. And there were still customers. That's when we would get the reports on the tracker that they missed again for the second day. So I'm tracking with that. I've reached out to our rep and we'll update you all on what their plan is going forward to address that. It really seems like as soon as the weather started clearing up, is when they seem to be having more issues. So I'm sure it's spring cleaning and there's more bulk going out, but I'm asking them to be really diligent and aware their contract for that. So with the fire department in Savannah, there were 35 calls for service.
That's the 13 reports on, that's 13 missed pickups.
That's 13 individuals reaching out to us regarding this pickup.
Still pretty low. So.
They can also put in their own reports, and Sloan here in Artesia is really great about putting reports in for residents as well. So yes, but compared to February, I mean, it was up on the, so.
Can we do something via social media about like bulk pickups and how it's a different truck and, you know, what days are bulk? We have a calendar. And then I've seen a lot of people talking about just trash all over the alleys. You know, just reminding people that the lid has to close so the wind won't blow it around. I don't know if we've done that in the past. I'm sure we have, but it's worth revisiting.
Absolutely. We push some information out, but we go into much more detail for sure.
If we're doing the text notifications, you might discuss tomorrow's bulk day. Because it's like a tricky calendar, right? Sometimes there's 3 weeks that you don't do. Yeah, everybody on Facebook every time. It's a bulk day tomorrow, and I'm part of this. I don't have the calendar on the fridge, and I look at my neighbors. The bulk calendar.
There really is a lot of resident feedback on social media regarding
Bulk, yeah.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of confusion also on how much that pickup.
So I think that
Yeah.
nobody wants no text messages, right? Unless they have to have.
But yeah, I would also make sure that we put out the Waste Connections on the link to Rhino website. Has some really good information on what they will pick up for bulk and approximate sizes. So they give you ideas of what size is, unless you call for additional, in the form of pictures and everything.
Okay.
Unless you call for additional bulk pickup. And I think that's something else that we need to put out there because a lot of people struggle with how much can I put out for bulk.
Yeah, just, I think revisiting that.
Perfect. Sarah, you and I can
Great.
chat tomorrow and we'll come up with a plan for that if that's okay. Thank you. For fire department, for calls for service, so again, it was 35, Artesia 18 and ArrowBrooke 29. And kind of going back and comparing that, that seems to be kind of the general number. Obviously, February again was less because it was a shorter month, but it seems nothing seemed to spike. And I did want to point out too, Chief Schlatter reached out to me today to update his report. He had actually used the wrong number for staffing for one of the fire departments. So I'll send that updated information out for you guys. He actually, his number was less than it should have been for staffing. So I'll send you that.
Are we still pending their contract?
No, less attorneys, you want to adjust. It's liable. I looked at it today, I don't think the issues with it. I have lost $100, using verify, but it's nothing that impacts the people or anything that is hard.
Yeah, we're not under the gun, right, or anything?
No, the contract's on the list. So I want to get it done as soon as possible. So happen. Well, okay. That's.
Let's see about here.
I guess.
Any other questions?
I guess further if you wanted to discuss. Travel.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not on the agenda.
Right. It's.
A brief history. I've been here through the whole thing. Jonathan can help me get it right. We got a note from Fallsburg, hey, we're gonna put a traffic light in at Artesia Boulevard and First Street. It's $600,000 and we want you to pay half. And this is the previous board. Director Bowling and myself were on it, and there's 3 other directors. And it was kind of an awkward ask. It came from their engineer, and it was pretty quick feedback, but sounds like a real high number. And why do we need to pay half of it? So, and it was voted down, even at 5. So they sent another, I guess, the next month, and we just didn't get off to a good footing to discuss it, I don't think. And once I got involved, my observation was this is a 4-way stop. Artesia had 1 of the 4 stops. Seems like we should only pay for a quarter at most. Problem potential that was we have a thoroughfare, and the parties needing traffic control would be the new school and Artesia. Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. Not sure I agree. And because we bought at the $300,000, that's a lot of money for our district. We have a small, compared to Prosper, we have a small budget, and this light is not in the district. We had to get a ruling from council. Can we even participate in a project that's not in the district? And we can because
Because it finds it influence the supervisor stuff. Considering that has to be made is disclosed as allocation that they versus the people that are each of it. And when that's what you can determine is the traffic study that shows how much on a change of level is district residents are involved in the traffic. Because our teachers been here for 15, 20 years, and we're not the ones that are now following increasing traffic. And so, sorry, that's
so evidence of it. So the number that came up 25%, that was kind of the one of felt like our maximum, but it never got that low. It got down to about 200,000 of so a third of it. So I recently was talking to a traffic engineer. He's a board member on another water board. And, this is a pressing issue. And he said, well, really, the answer is this, the cost should be borne by the parties causing the additional need. And in that case, well, it's really two things. Artesia has been the same size for years. I've lived here since 18. In 2018, you could get out of Artesia easy. You could just, it wasn't that much. Teal ended at the apartments. It was a dirt road beyond that. Foster expanded Teal and created all this traffic. Now it's really hard to turn out. We're going to need traffic control at Teal sooner than later. So it's just an interesting question. We're this little island in the center of Prosper, and they're leaning on us to participate. But I really feel like they're putting this burden on us and asking us to pay more than we should, I guess is my position. I think I would agree to pay some portion, and I think Artesia definitely wants it. So that's what we struggled as a board. That's where we are, And we've met with them a couple of times, and they're hard out. Right? They're pretty just firm in their opinion. But you know,
I think the other piece of that is when they place the bond to build the school, they also do traffic studies and impact studies for when they place that. And so when you place the bond and you do a bond approval, the traffic light and all the appropriate modifications they would have to make for the school were discussed to become a part of that bond package when they submitted that, as far as the construction of the school and the impact it was going to have to the area. That's part of what you have to do when you submit a bond package.
I think the only other thing I would add is we did talk about doing some kind of financial contribution. I think we should. I think we're shooting for like 25,000. Didn't fly. We mentioned that Prosper, that's not even in their ballpark. You know, they want 200,000 or something. So we're not even in the same book.
I mean, it's this thing already. Why?
Right. Not without. Now, right now, the ball was starting about all of me, but
I think they're trying to be honest. So we have another meeting scheduled, President by Prosper, to meet and also meet with the school board superintendent. So I think for tonight, I won't go out there. I just don't want to pay $300,000 for it. I don't think that that's a fair amount, or the 200. I would continue to work to try to get one there, but it's got to be a fair agreement. They've just been, I feel like they're bullying us, is my position on it. But, you know, it's, where's the,
well, partners. Yeah, there's nothing for the city or not. We say it's fun, it's the city. There's the opportunity of these little building. Technically not speeds. That's where they went to fastest and treated. So now it's so I think how have like it is like things. Yeah. Why the praise will be numbers your body in little pieces and stuff 7 minutes possible. So I was talking to the maybe there's about safety issues on that and we had things that I gotta really start in. I'm sorry, but I think we gotta sit down the public comments, go back to
I wanted to let some go on the guys. It's for tonight. We're going to meet with them again this week, and we're going to keep working to get a like that. That's what I'll say about it here. We don't want to pay more than what we ought to pay. I think our share is less than what they're asking. So it's a negotiation is where we'll keep talking to them, and I would work to get a light there. I feel like we need one. We're going to need one at Teal too, at Thomas Way in Teal. That's down the road.
what would be. It's paying over the name. Not sleep. Yes, sleeping. Yeah. 4 months. We're looking at really for like that.
don't think it would take that long. I don't know how long.
Yes.
Babies. Because. So they do have options. It doesn't have to be permanent. They can do temporary until they can get the permit that's.
My, I'm making this promise, well. I can't think they're not in the line that's really long term.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm always felt like they're gonna put it, they're just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I will say, when we met, they pretty much said, yeah, there's no. That's not happening. But.
Month, keep working on it. I'll keep you informed. I want to light there. I don't want to have to pay half of it. Is the okay. We're still the general manager's report. Do I have a motion to accept the general manager's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the general manager's report.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8, discuss Artesia Bridge improvement.
I'm gonna take a point on that. I have vetted out several different contractors, different ideas, different options. And what I would like to propose to you all is coming back to the original idea of using, actually found a vendor masonry and construction. And I did have help with, Chris, the new maintenance employee, because this is a vendor they've actually used when he worked for his previous company. So they came out, took a look at the wall. The biggest issue is with the rock shave that creates space that if it's not done properly, then you can get water behind anything that you put in front of it. So they really recommended that we stick with the stucco idea because they're able to coat that first with the protective layer and then stucco on top of that and it still be thin. And so their total cost would be $5,650. It was a lot lower. The other one was $10,000. And just the discussion that I had with this vendor made me feel more confident in the way they were explaining what needed to happen with the rock at the top, not matching the rock that was shaped on the side. So I feel like they will do a better job even than what we had previously spoken about. And we have the opportunity to kind of choose the colors and make sure it blends in with the others. The bridge as well, still. That's my recommendation. And if you have any other suggestions, we're open for that as well.
It's like they're at the wireless, which are better parts.
Just vendors. I'm really not sure if it's the same process as stucco as well.
I would think Wopac was receiving a sub. You know, this is not like it's a direct
Yes.
vendor.
Yeah, I don't think you beat that, so. Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Make a motion to go with 5,000, what was it, 5,000?
5,650.
Yeah, 5650.
Good.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
Number 9, discuss the use of ArrowBrooke Park and take any related action, including approval of formal contract for the use of the park.
I've asked, I don't know what they think,
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, we have not moved Jonathan back in yet.
Okay.
The committee has worked together to outline the document and redline everything. We have not gotten it to Jonathan yet for his final agreement on that. But
This for 380.
no, this is just for park usage altogether. So once we have the park usage details down, then we can give that to Jonathan and make sure he can tailor an agreement. Or the other option that Jonathan had also placed was that we kind of go off of the draft agreements that we found that have been signed by the other parties. And kind of use both the committee's suggestions and that agreement, put something together to offer to 380.
Do we have urgencies here?
No, not particularly. Or, from a lot of us standpoint, really, like, functioning this, community from, it's all about that was a good question. So I thought
I would say the only urgency would be that, you know, it's nice weather and the park is going to be used more. We are getting more requests from people for different various reasons, whether it be food trucks or.
So by next month, we'll have something to.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you guys agree with that timeline? Do you think we can?
I think we're really close.
Yes, so we want to make sure.
I know.
So it's,
Right.
so we don't want to cover it.
But
And-
so it's on.
Yeah, and just so you know, John, I don't think we talked to you, but you had sent us a document of previous Elm Ridge and a lot of those green belt policies. It was not really applicable to the Arrow Park. And so we took that, we tweaked it, we added some park stuff to it. And then we were going back and forth with some minor wording. So once we finish that, I'll send it to you so you can legally it up. But we took kind of what you already had and started with that.
No answer.
One thing I did want to ask Jennifer. Are you aware of the mulch that was added to the center sidewalk? The edges. I am going to safely assume that it was the cricket team
Okay.
where they put their turf. And they're like stamps, like bags of mulch into the grass.
Okay. I will take a look at that. tomorrow.
Landscaping.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
That's nice of you.
so
Okay.
we might need to remind everyone. It is still not there.
Yeah, right. Okay. Will do. So we'll go by tomorrow and. Okay. And I'll press stress as well.
Yeah, because I was like, this stuff, our job is 10 feet down, there's a massive rut. And I'm like,
Is it along the sidewalk area?
yeah, when you are going from the parking lot to the that's how it goes.
Okay.
And it's that crowd.
So I've seen them they're right along the sidewalk in the middle.
Yeah. They put their turf.
I didn't know they were a turtle though. I didn't notice that. So.
Yeah, it's like a mat that they'll put down so you can't read that source.
That is what they had requested the leave out tonight last month. For sure.
I think one thing we can talk about is just for our park rules, how do you guys feel about food trucks and possibly renting a concession? We had a resident comment card on that. I think Felicia and I were talking about that and we are generally okay with coming up with some kind of a framework around food trucks and concession rentals, but where are they gonna go? Where are they gonna?
The food trucks will be in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Assuming, which that's up to us, right? Then you, as the board, you all delegate that, but I would assume you would decide.
No, a lot of them do. We just don't have a policy for it, so we were going back and forth on that. We want to throw them in the park rules, but
Yeah.
make sure you guys are comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I think it would depend on the rules of the food truck. I've seen where food truck rules go south really badly. And then, oh yeah, and then you have food trucks taking advantage of policy loopholes that you have set up. And that's what we want to avoid, because otherwise you can get yourself in a situation where you have vendors that you don't necessarily want regularly.
Okay. Well, and you have that park.
That's the other issue that's right now.
The converse, it's kind of hard to get them to show up. They won't come unless they think they can sell. We want them to come here and we have to rally, you know.
I mean, obviously there'd be some kind of fee. You don't know what that is. You have to talk that out, but you would get some kind of a fee. There'd be some kind of, I don't think we have to bake all of that or say into our park rules. I think we just have to say that the general manager has the ability to, you know, contract this out and contact her type thing.
Oh, yeah, all I'm saying is when you're looking at that, take a look, make sure you close any loopholes or something like that. Make sure we're setting ourselves up so we don't end up with vendors or something. And then make sure we've got the parking situation, you know,
They have to be approved.
yeah, taken care of. So we gotta make sure it's done the right way.
Maybe we should include that it needs to be approved.
Mm.
No one can just show up.
Yes, yeah. Close your loopholes, know your fees, and make sure that just because they pay a fee doesn't give them right just to stay there.
And I think with concessions, the one thing to keep in mind too is that 380 doesn't leave some of their items in that concession stand. So we'll definitely need to,
That would be trickier. to get that thing out.
what can we use for those different things?
What part of the cares? last. I understood. Whether it's standard, it's parking, it's no office. It's there. It rains, anyone, they're ready, lobbying. They're all shut down. They're farmers. So I don't know if the truck, they're very fire.
That's why I make a comment that when they're doing that, they need to look at parking loopholes and all that stuff, make sure it makes sense for us, the district.
And then one more thing for you, Jennifer, I was looking at that, she's really helpful. Little recently leased, Rent Elementary for sports, and then they also have a cricket team there, so it would be great to see what their fees were for that. Because I know with the line, I saw Whistler, they charge $17.50 for 2 hours. And nowhere near that.
Yeah.
I don't think we should charge that much, just because of our commissions, they're not comparable to Slam, but they are comparable to the Rent Elementary, so I think we need to have for remember working on the contract to
Forget it.
it was the Rent Elementary.
Thank you. I will contact them.
And then even asking how they get their fields to level up a little part. Yes, it's,
Yeah.
like, of course,
Okay. Thank you.
for future budgeting. Maybe that's the need to,
Thank you.
Truck line level, over cars.
yeah.
That's not the whole.
I think Megan's got a part of that. That's it.
Any outcomes from them?
No, I was there.
Okay. Item K, discuss use of Magnolia Boulevard by large trucks and possible prohibition from this.
Yeah, Mr. President, this item, A number 12, which is discuss the Magnolia Boulevard intersection with Edward, how to be discussed in concert with each other. So Jennifer, do you want to chop on that?
So I've been trying to vet what our options are for both of these and even for, the speed limits that we need to address. And so I've contacted Denton County, since we're underneath their ordinances, right? And we know that we can't just make any changes to.
Make our own speed limits.
That's right. We can't make our own speed limits. We can't say no trucks unless we do the due diligence of showing what the problem is and what a solution would be that doesn't impact anybody outside of the district. So especially like with the through trucks, we have to show that we have a route that doesn't impact traffic anywhere else. And so the recommendation from Denton County is that we have an engineering report done prior to like a traffic study and putting that type of work and expense in. We do an engineering report to show what the issue is and what we feel like a viable solution would be. Address that with them. And then let their comments off that guide us into the next step. The difference would be for leaving the stoplight at Magnolia and 1385. That is a text dot road. So text dot would be the first point of contact on what are our options here. Is it even possible?
You've got to paint the stripes I went through there the other day. I went to Costco and it's confusing.
Yeah, and they're on every other corner, but the Elmwood corner.
Exactly.
Just get that.
But for us to change traffic pattern at this point, we do have to make sure that it doesn't impact anybody right there, considering it's not our road leaving the district. So I spoke with the Salina team, with Andy and with Catherine today, and they would be happy to take a look at both of those. They're going to reach out to TxDOT for us. They have some connections at the Denton office that they work with regularly, just to get some feedback to see what our first steps with that would be. But moving forward with either of those, even an engineering report, there will be some cost incurred for their time and effort. So I wanted to make sure you were all okay with that before we push that into their hands and let them take a look at those issues.
What are we looking at ballpark? Like what costs?
Don't know. I
Less
think
than a traffic study?
way less than a
Yeah, traffic study's like 10 grand, so.
It would just take writer support for them to look at the issue.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds reasonable, but yeah, I didn't want to commit to tens of thousands of
No.
dollars or anything.
No, it would be if you added extra hours of their engineering time that we.
So the county's trying to make it easy for us, sounds like.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're trying to make it easy. And they reiterated that as long as it was an Elm Ridge issue, that we were not placing onto another entity, that it's way easier to work.
So when we get that, I'm sorry, it goes back to the county, then what? And commissioners court or?
So the staff there will take a look at that and see if it needs to be passed up to the commissioner's report. But the staff can look at the engineering report and see if this is something that they can go ahead and approve in-house without it going in front of the court. And if it does have to go in front of the court, does that then require a traffic study? So we'll know at least what information we need to have available to take to the commissioner's court if that's the next step.
It's all about changing. That, well,
We can rely.
well, that's not, it's not all touch. So what we're trying to do is resolve the problem. And we are not able to say, okay, the left lane should be straight and left, and the right lane should be right, or the right lane should be straight and right, and the left lane should be right. Like, we're not able to make that determination. It's probably pretty obvious. We don't have any, sort of classes in 20 years to try to get select to look at it and say, okay, this should be left lane, straight left, right, recommendation to reach. So the text out and say, this is what we want. This is already there. Just bless this for us, please. And then you would do this. So we just can't make that decision ourselves. We can't do that just for liability issues. So the goal is to get the information so the notes to us and the term lanes and just get blessing we can pay. And so that's what we're trying. And it checks out, we worked this out when they did the intersection because they did it on all the other sides. So they did it. So now we're trying to.
It's super confusing that we are not a city. We don't have a city ordinance power. And so to do some of these things, you've got to go about it a different way.
I've been drilled in for making several traffic things that are obviously just fix it. And you have to deal with the different entities, and this is TxDOT, but we're working on it. We'll get it done. They need it.
It's straight to here. One grand, and we achieve something outside of here. Certainly about 3 acres or something. And then like and something they haven't can first or is that area to go out later to listen to the brothers Weiner and Burke.
Can I pull up this light here? Can Salina help us with that? If we need
Sure, request them to take that, yes.
yeah, so I mean, if they were something that we could use as evidence with our prosper for yeah.
For sure, I can.
Look them into that. We definitely. Okay. Do we need a motion?
Yeah, I would looking to authorize the member to authorize someone to do that.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Is there something? Second. All in favor?
No.
Any opposed? Let's stand in. Discuss potential speed limit reductions in Artesia and ArrowBrooke.
So this is kind of the same amount of safety. We don't have the ability to set speed limits. It's law and authority. This is the statute and the law says we have to get the county to do it. And so the county will require a traffic study that shows that this is making speed limit should be made. And so for any area that we want to do that, those areas in ArrowBrooke, those areas in Artesia, we just need to move forward with those speed studies if we have the desire to have those speed limits also.
Okay. So we're also wanting to fix the school zone and the crosswalk, and can all that be part of the same?
Correct.
And that's our recommendation, is that we take all of the issues that we want looked at, include them all, and get a cost analysis on what that looks like.
So now for ArrowBrooke, we wanted the issue was interested in having an ArrowBrooke decrease to 25, but then that same section, they were wanting stop signs possibly or Pleasant Knoll and ArrowBrooke Ave. And that was actually the traffic study that we approved a few months ago that I don't think we called for because you were not sure yet. So yeah, if we could move all that in, that'd be great. And the first one section.
I think maybe you'd already asked the first stop. It might be a little bit outside your comfort zone, but what is required to get somebody certified to do one of these traffic studies? And where I'm going is, if we're paying 10,000 for this one and 10,000 for this one and 10,000, what would it take to get our own people certified so that we just pay the cost for that? And we're
Great question.
Well, all the reports that we have done for this is for the second license. So I think that is a, preliminary degree and license in the year, and there's much more engineers. 7 engineers, I think this is somewhat similar. I don't know. But, we can find out, but there's always the engineer that has a seal that seals the floor. It's,
They're a professional, they're a PE. To seal the report, they're a PE, a professional engineer. So, because I'm an engineer, but I'm not a professional engineer.
I guess it's like
I definitely.
a 2-day class or something.
No, it's far from a 2-day class.
Maybe in the future.
It's more than a 4-year degree too. They're professionally PE.
More cost.
Yeah. How do we squeeze some cost out of that? Because we can't pay 10
So,
cents.
so you not only have to get an engineering degree, you have to go and certify as a professional engineer, which means that once you stamp your name on something, you're liable for that. So that's not only the cost for that, it's a whole nother series of courses and years of study.
Okay, so then maybe we contract, we get somebody to, Salina maybe or something. There's gotta be something.
Yes.
Yeah, for that, this was released.
Yeah.
For, in Salina, they had in-house traffic control. That people will help recommend the best way to go out. I think if you're going to county or state level, that, for example, we're leading the opinion and talk about, hey, how can we these costs down, what exactly do you need? They're usually pretty easy to work with. I think that's a possibility. But I think Salina need to help as far as what you guys do. They do have some sort of in-house traffic.
Because when we approved the traffic studies a few months back, we approved the maximum of 30K over the 3 communities and what we approved. And it sounds like we're going to need more than, based on what we're seeing here. There's a kind of a request for more than what would be 30K. And we'll have to get that actual, but so we're going to have to figure that out. So we only approved for 30K. And then, so once we figure out, all those areas and what the quote is, we'll have to determine which ones take priority.
And one thing also from each year, really not.
Yeah.
Different probably kind of our friends to say what they're asking for, and so right now. Yes, so for hey, that's not going to do it. So we want to move it down. Let's see what else.
Yep.
Don't explore them. If they feel it's enough to hey, this is not. We can tell us looking at it that this is not. So, yeah.
So the way I want to work is we figure out what we're gonna do tonight and get it in place and come back and approve it next time. And because it's gonna take longer. How do we do that? How do we get to, okay, let's approve this action tonight and then by next meeting.
There's going to be a lot of actions that we do because, we do infrastructure and things like that you'll never be able to get to the point where for every action, you're going to be able to make a proposal and just do it the following month on certain things.
Well, you identify local places, your own area, and then your teaching area out here, this stuff across further in the group, those type of things. And that was what we talked about a few months ago. I think that's what you should just to see someone here, they just get some these, the ones that we've identified, fix or like that, and then more areas just that's the area. We'll be able to get some authorizing Jen to go out and see better and engineer whoever, and say we give us total our next meeting. This is what we want. So we want to see it. And I think that's what we need.
I think there's a lot of pent up stuff that Elm Ridge has never really dealt well with that we need to start kind of tackling.
Yeah, execute,
Yeah.
Talk about it, come up with a plan, get it done. I don't want to, okay, what are we gonna do about the speed limit next year? Let's come up with, it seems like we kind of have to do some more fact finding before we can decide on what action we're going to take. The,
You want to authorize change it only goes to 2 areas?
yeah.
You want to make a motion to do that?
Yeah. I'll make it. Let's make a motion to approve the general managers to, come back with a proposal for traffic studies on Keisha Boulevard, speed limit, school zone, location of the crosswalk, and ArrowBrooke speed limit, stop sign, and crosswalks.
So what locations though? Because the ArrowBrooks, you can't just do all of them. They only approve 30K. Of ArrowBrooke Avenue. So, but it's each traffic study is for a specific area, correct? You can't just do the whole boulevard. For all the intersections.
Well, I think it's.
The speed limit is something. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Itself is right at our. So it's ArrowBrooke Ave still. That's
Okay. So yeah, tie it so that it catches ArrowBrooke Avenue, especially by the crosswalk area, so they can catch both at the same time. Because if you just say we need stop signs, you're gonna do multiple traffic studies along ArrowBrooke Avenue for those stop signs.
Yeah, it takes long to come out and say.
Yeah.
Go out to the sites. It's.
We're not approving the study. This one, we're approving Jennifer to go out and come back and make a proposal for what the scope of those studies is. That's.
Well, we still need to know what locations.
And I go back to my comment, if there's a way to squeeze out some, even if it's, we get a guy that runs the cords to count the cars. I mean, anybody can count the cars, you know, if you have the right equipment, because you have.
Seems like the studies are expensive.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
No.
Any opposed? Report from the chief.
Hey, everyone. Do recall last month, the Maroon Blue app, there's that complaints foundation application we started. It went live last month. Still pushing that to be known to everyone. Well, the big push is on 6 cars for those working underneath. It should be the office of the new building. You have to your address on it. So hopefully it picks up when people start getting, you know, VIN numbers and in terms of that part of it, that QR code. Those are all the rest. Officer Dylan, as we know, that there's English certification training, doing very well. It's actually going to be finishing up tomorrow. Our GSP is very much shown. She's started once in 15 weeks of obedience after he is certified on narcotics. But so somebody's going to come back in a couple of weeks to go for a minute and go back to our vendor to let our college go out. It's pretty much shown. We have our second quarterly division performance update, which is that meetings have our sergeants are reported and we're doing leadership monthly review parts of that. We did wrap up our last flip, we started a new one. We go over career development through our officers, our vision departments. It's just something that you go Tuesday. Okay. That was completed. Officer Trion and Sergeant Rearseal attended the last month our HOA meeting. Follow us on Facebook. You'll see that myself and Chief Max went to Austin. Testifying House Bill 2363. Happy to report that made out of committee and now on the House floor. So that was on here. That was a hit that they're thinking to get past this was gonna be good. So hoping good news in House floor, the system and then did take place in the first law. This as I stated. Hoping to see that soon. At this point, attended information officer school. And it's going to now been named as departments. Releases and things like that. At this machine. Also some information manager, which is not old. And then I should have folded and capitalized in the italicized of this. This is a significant time. Working across 10, not the agenda for the building. Activity wide, public office service last month was 2,608. 178 of dispatch, I think that was 330 was self-initiated, so 89% total call being self-initiated, and a total increase of 234 calls from the previous month. We had 290 traffic contacts in March, and 50% of violators issued warnings. To date, we are at 7,730 calls for service. We have your breakdown reports under OneDrive. We have the SRO report, nothing for the notes there. Canine progress, like I stated, also doing great. Community services, the radar current reflects at 1,600 block of ArrowBrooke, sending a little over 70% of the vehicles and travel underneath the speed limits. The average being 73.
average pilot was 38, so we're right in that area, 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. Our public relations specialist, more, also the customer service associate front desk, and working with American patients on our 5K, that I know she's very excited for right now. I told you early on, it's those including our community services and stuff, be limited for money, will be really ended up with the way this facility can really great our business. This is happening back. We ended our store program actually still a competition in a couple months in June. So we're slowly pushing a lot of the service programs back up. Next one, routine maintenance, except for 2401. One of our officers decided back into the dumpster. Because we put the building using for construction. So that's the one from TML for insurance. That's a pretty awesome expense on that. They'll get it deductible sheet. Staffing, we still have our 4 vacancies. We have made some pretty good progress this last week. We had 3 very good PHSs out. Hoping to have this back pretty quick. Hopefully we fill in most of our spots back up. Just in case, we did reserve a spot at College Academy. Usually kind of late request, we were on the waiting list, but we already have 1 on that list, so we'll be fine. So if we get to 3, we're looking at the middle PHSs, all the last ones we had middle PHSs, and then starting background. 24. All of these 3 worked out, and that's well off the academy. So the experiences, the ones we have waiting, return of the PHS, which is 17 veterans, 5 veterans, and 3 veterans. So we can afford now sending them to the academy. We don't want to keep sending the academy and having all the experiences. Officer Stevens, very strong progress, and her FTO, she finished FTO last week, we're on our own now. Officer McMahon came out of remedial, and interesting enough, she had FTO, she's having issues with not losing FTO, but just having issues. She went into remedial, made excellent progress, came back up and requested to go put therapy approval privilege. It's like, oh, so. And at our meeting on Tuesday, Sergeant Reed was directly about this standard. So she's actually scheduled to finish tomorrow. For us to go 6 out there give us suppliers. So another successful academy, just 17 successful. Wow, that's the end report. A little shorter than normal. Most of my teachers don't get it. So any questions?
You know, I'm going to ask. What's the status of our parking lot?
Yeah, what's the parking lot?
That change hands.
The answer to the question is it's the data I'm waiting on, do the campus, at Crossland, it's always. Let's finish it, better, or we'll get it done. But I know it's that's where we'll start, and then we'll pay coming out like that, so. You can be on site today, you know, the city, we just figure it work.
Okay, so. The other question I was going to ask you, the how do you say it, room? Do you have anything on your cars about that?
Not yet, we should, once again, we're small, bar to our practices a little bit, that's why we want there, and that's going to be our next step. And then we also want to encourage you to pull the goal, be our goal of the ground, or.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I thought of that.
We'll keep pushing. We just send an lot on Facebook, but not only once you see on the feed, you know, once you begin to go on, and I took it with that business card, because that's the intent, right? You have an incident, come out and give you a number or report number, and you got all the, you know, back to back card, there's more. So you're taking a record report, phone insurance company, like, oh, we don't know how you do this, that's cheap. But those haven't been sent 100 acres, and the issue at all between new calls. So that's all happening next week. We get to a vehicle. It's a fucking bad music. Anything else? Do I have a motion to approve the fleet report?
So make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any opposed? 14, discuss the status of the construction of the district administrative facility. So if you come to the word out, you see there's a lot of questions. It's been focused the last 3 weeks, I believe. There's also pictures in there from the some materials shaping up. You see some of the blessing signs and things that are part of our day. It's going to the building. So then to the report here, all the OAC meetings, stopped about police deal. That's the only architect reception meetings we've been getting any updates on. And those transitioning to both out. And also the building training. So that's what they're working on. Two of those are also working. So it's just, so there's been a lot going on. Something to put notes about it, and there's a significant amount of time on a bunch of those. You can see there's a lot of documents in there. No safety issues in crossing, nothing worried about there. Our parking lot canopies are completed, with the lighting on it, it's all completed. Again, we're waiting on the call and paying before we move the vehicles. I'm really local for this week and pushing, but our superintendent is all, measured, crossing and looking at other project and put a new superintendent on our side. The other project is superintendent walked off the side, and so they're having to bring him over. And so now we have a very young superintendent, make his first or second job at all. Is on site. And so now I'm working pretty much directly with the project across. It's going to stick with the ones I work with Ross. Obviously, you're just being superintendents, you walk in the building, and it's great to go, hey, fix this wall, hey, do this, and we're just going to use our punch list just to get this thing done. There's good. But the cost pretty far, and it's like Boston's ready to go. They have their own internal issues, but we're not letting things go. We're showing things. They're like, well, that's fine. No, it's not. So. We're here to do it. I'm hopeful that we'll start paying right off the part of that about this. And hopefully next week, and then next week you can start it. So, all the coloring's done. There are some issues coloring. There's a tile they put in last second in the corner by the council chamber. It's just a different color. All the now that they put a drawing of that tile, so we'll want another round to guarantee that color. So let's say color properly fits my whole area. And so this is not necessarily too large. So we're trying to figure out a way to blend it down. So we're working through that. We will be resolved over. Swagging, which is the other cameras for your meetings, have been in there all week. That is a fancy system. So it's pretty cool. We have 3 double cameras, some down watches meetings and moving cameras when you speak to move towards you and really well. 18 installation was finally completed. We had internet in the building, so we're going to start this stuff over there. All of our partners went online today. That just took my entire day. Clean up access rights and camera and all card deposit, all those things. That's my entire day. So all that is going on. Remind y'all. Middle door, apartment bathrooms, a hallway, all the gyms, that's a temporary doors. We see that. This is look right. We'll be there forever. We don't want to be in this thing. So, if there's anything like the plan, all the buildings completed. There are potential some from that. Well, the appliances need to be installed. That's going to be done next week. Big hold up on that. Most of the water. Nothing wrong with that. Water doing. As soon as the meter, there's a leak at the immediate model. Our building meters. Their side. Our side.
And what it was is, took a little bit of pressure, the spacing they used, you did a lot of flex or something, so it's a different piece of it. So we had a 3-4 day delay, and it's too left out. So the softeners, to put the water on, there was no major water. We were worried about. A couple of water things, and some plumbing issues, some safety things, some puddles and stuff. Nothing. All the blinds have been installed, with the section of 1, was quite on punch. And they did have our partners and stuff. All the furniture is in the building, everything went so far, and that's a lot of the thing for the month on the staff, we did have furniture, so it's trade loss, all lots of this is the same thing. So the initial order, our shares and other ways of total change orders here, one with black crossing. They realize there's some light control and some mounting issues. They're going to do a lot of canopies, so the overhangs, try to get them guys along the sideboard. All of the $33,500 change order, the construction contingency. And then the cabinets, was a especially with tornado filter controls on the side of your water pipe. Because they did the CMU type brick all the way up something, so you can recess or fittings into the wall. So you have that utility wall thing. And so we asked them about putting a cabinet or something around the obvious controls. That's somewhere $50 to get it's person design. So in the grand scheme of things, beautiful community room. That's what the money from. FF&E is all the furniture is here.
You have a bunch of interior signs coming in, you see your own bridge signs in the lobby, we have in front of your guys, there's no signs. It was a key, admin and packages. We are out today, we get some more options. If you've been in the building, it's very hospitalish. So we're trying to add some stuff to it and, branding a big thing, which is something you need trying to think, all the things also because something that you're proud of. And so we're working through some, what's in alpha graphics used as far as decals. The other thing we make some painting, so we'll get some, accent type colors and things against the walls, try to bring up some of this just white house. But that's what I think some just time. This right now, the primary concern is getting here. This fairly changing up. Let's see here. Whenever you got a record picture, she's come out there, listen, we'll talk about them. I'm not a decorator. You don't want me to do it. So, taking her opinions and kind of these orders for a lot of us. A lot of this equipment has been purchased. You got with Chris and he'll be the ones like huge stability. Like air compressors, like water fire and things, we have to the large of the state, this tool, the blood being so our fire building things as much shelving. We cut a lot of building out of our the original software solutions metal shelving costs, which are very expensive. Places to go buy $100 metal shelving from people that call on me spend $2,000 on that shit. So we're having to kind of figure out what we're missing as opposed to we want to deal with credit for chips on people this week. There's a lot to still come that FD budget. I think we have 400,000 originally, so you know 145 right here. So we won't sure. Have plenty of room to finish it out.
The only thing I'm worried about a little bit is we are having some issues with radio reception in the building. I heard it about a month ago. I heard Chris myself with it. I didn't have much issue. Use a test point with this guy. They tested again this morning. The repeaters are loose and good. So the wind shields is going to manipulate even the signal radio. So we may be pushed to a repeater in the building. This is something that I thought previous project manager about early on, unless this isn't needed, we never discussed further. And those conversations under me about $40,000. There'll be money for it. I'm going to talk to radio shop as well about
Just get it.
tune up our.
If you're having a set, you have to have a set.
It's before, yeah. I want to see from our video for that just 30K, but we're going to think so.
It's digital, right? I didn't even know they used repeaters anymore. I figured it was all.
It's still a repeater, it's just our top seed. It's still a pretty good seed of some sort. I know. But there are repeaters. Most of these have. Yeah, something that I mentioned earlier on the. We're quite much of this awareness. We need to do it. We have to do it. It will be fun. I should have come to you and ask. So the contingency fund statuses, construction, they're still seeing it $170,352. That's good. And the design contingency still has $25,993. So we have about $196,000 of city contingencies. And we're going to close out this week. We plan to start moving on Tuesday. There's going to be some fun stuff running around, it's going to be interesting because there's a sidewalk on the procedures and then engage our contractors and then the offices. But the more I don't want to keep you on your offices. We've been very excited to move and it's time. This is the 18th. And this way also going to force us across on the things that So, so nothing else, there shouldn't be anything really more. So there's no risk like we have what's going back for you. So about $196,000. Milestone, like I said, we work on punch, the show punch list, target end date is going to be Tuesday. I'm not saying it's going to be operational, but the plan is to get Cindy operational and Alex operational and patrol report right here is operational by Wednesday. So there's a Facebook post coming out Tuesday telling everyone we did building. We got to do it for the day that's Chris take down the sign that apparently the film buildings and people are confused with the police and district evidence off. And so by Wednesday, you want to see the police department. That's the plan. And so it's like another picture. Picture the logo, and actually get the record. So the movement all at once, all this is gonna be a long way. Yeah, at least over at least just getting stuff in the issue is once you move one computer, we are gonna see this I gotta start all those things. So you bet you have to move one year. And so you've got to pick a date. There's a lot of towing in Southwest records, cabinets, and things like that. We're at the show. They got delayed, ultimately. But that's what's showing up this week. Considering it's all going on Monday. Tell me, heard this up here.
some kind of issue for it. So we'll start moving, you got like 403 in our record, it's still the ability and just included in this to move that stuff. So. It's fails, there's still be. Well, we're calling all these questions, people to manner and cover parking situation and improve after that. At the end of the way, they're gonna think. It's one of their, it's one part, one part, or not. We don't do that. You don't think it's more room in the park area. Yeah, they just want to have all their spaces back. I mean,
The construction staff will be clear.
that's your mail there. So. In fact, it's
Going forward, there'll be more parking as we,
It'll go back and.
We still need staff parking there, right?
Yeah, so we own, as part of those 3 blocks, or now 1 block, we own the spots that are right adjacent to that purpose. That's the district block. In the past, the nation's been pretty good with us, but the ones that are right in front of that, and kind of some great circle, as far as the park, that's been just to be exception. We have 1 or 2, like main parking. Sorry. Our market is going to be in the gates because we're the ones going to go people and there's a little where the cheap part sits on here. So we'll sit outside somewhere, but outside of homes, we're leaving the media spot there since not even walking across the parking lot. So we might have 1 or 2 of our cars so in the corner that will us down at 30%. I mean, but very minimally impacts the HOA. Now as we get more into new programs and start getting more experience, and one of the goals is to get contract training provided by people. And we start having officers come to our department and training, and we charge money for classes and we have budget. And yes, important stuff talking about stuff for our department. Just to build a choice for all about that's not. Well, that's another discussion. It's just I'll get through this first. We'll talk about additional.
these punch lists are pretty impressive. Very detailed. I want to publicly commend you for putting the team on your back and carrying this thing across the line. We know how hard the work is. It's been a huge thing. It's been our chief and in charge of this building. It was looking good. Three great. Proud of you. More questions?
Did you, I didn't notice it in the punch list, but did you guys, go back and add that one office on the second floor that also had the bump on the floor?
It's
No, there's yours, but then there's the one that I, this.
yeah. That was a gift. Like the flag. So it's fun. So here I think it's all chaos. It's just not immediately. And that's chairman's that's also good. But then the stuff is here, this isn't gonna work. Do a triple over. It's noticeable. This is a 4th floor on plug in. And the problem is there's a beam underneath that area. So that big black box to it being down and flying out. Sure. So the next thing looks like it missed. Sorry. But every time you walk by, they keep moving the table and covering it. And now it's not table. It's becoming a figure. They're gonna turn. I can report that it's been fixed, that whole next to the wall behind the TV, that's been done. That's what you're talking about.
I think it was like Officer Trian's office or the next office over. It was very slight when I was walking. I told you like, oh, this is second one meeting as well.
You know, what there's yeah. But the function that was going on to us. Just 3 times, 5 minutes to do something you could have done this something other thing there either. Any other questions on that?
Do I have a motion to approve the project manager's report?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Item 15. Consider approval of amendment to the joint interlocal cooperation agreement.
If you recall, we talked about this in the last meeting, and they've now agreed to make the payments, we're still trying to go through, I don't know what with this. They asked for something, the other two ones get all here, for 3 weeks, so we still don't have, the day.
This is a hard 15K. You go. Spend it trying to close.
I spend as little as possible.
You also call somebody? Yeah. I'll call some. I'm for something.
Well, I had. If you want to, I think, in your. Yeah, so. I will get it up.
All right. No action.
No,
16, consider committee reports. Finance committee.
We met and we discussed some items that we'll discuss soon. Secondly.
Then we talked about your policy, so we would like to streamline that, but still keep all the protections we have in place. I think there's something that we can do, so we're not signing off on like $4 refund checks. We'll come up with a approach and circle back on that.
That'll be so well received.
And then with the parks, we just going back and forth.
But yeah, we've heard most about that, so we hope to have next month. Communication.
So, go ahead and we can start with Pride's report and then we'll finish
Yep.
with
You want
our Triton's, report. We'll let them and then we'll finish up. Cause we usually cover that in the communications.
to, okay. Public safety didn't meet. That's it. Action. Report on the district web.
Hello, guys. I was wanting to clarify too, because we've had some reassignments since the last one. So I will be now the main point of contact for your district. And again, you guys all know college again with the companies. Just let me know. Megan will be kind of supervising me and helping me over the next few months as a couple. But any minor updates or changes to the website, if you want me to post, we'll also be at the communications committee next week. So I'll get more ready to call. Going off of the action item that you guys had outstanding, the Austin Board form is now up on the website, it's operating, and the questions are being directed to Jennifer, and then she is going to forward them up to the board member as their backup. Yes, and the language on there was written by Megan and Jonathan, so thoroughly edited. And that's it. Let's see, tomorrow I'm going to I'm going to get updated photos, have a journal for access to shots of it, and I'll put them on Facebook. And I'd like to put a little teaser video on YouTube too, just showing kind of behind the scenes experience. So help overview and see who has the vision as well. While I'm there, I'm gonna get an overhead shots, so we can start conceptualizing a plan for the open house event. And sending sort of like a draft layout to the police department and Jennifer and talking about that, just because I need an overhead view series, so we can actually kind of get it all rolling. Because the tentative date right now is August 2nd for the grand opening of it, so the timeline kind of leads us to putting in, RFP this year. I don't really want to go down the whole rabbit hole because we can talk about it, but that's kind of where we're at right now. It's getting the layout and then there we're rushing continuously. We've continued to see really healthy growth on our Facebook. I think all of the initiatives that the committees have supported have gone really well as far as Josh told Chuck to pick up and put out more information that you guys talked about. And then, days and meetings and stuff, I think that's been going really well. And that's all for me. I will something on the truck pickup. I also wanted to get a post about the maintenance for the current.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I wanted to follow up with you on that. And also, unless you guys have any questions.
And so tomorrow is the day that it'll get to like.
Okay, I think we're going to pick up those information tomorrow, Saturday, as in that time to go over. Yeah. Okay, in the district park, in Arrow, yes, somewhere.
So then for the rest of the communications committee, what we were discussing is, we want to, based on expenses and stuff, we want to limit the expenses. We've given Chief Kennedy and Jennifer have access to make daily updates as required to the websites and things of that nature. So they have the ability to do that. We want to kind of, unless it's mandatory changes, we're trying to limit communications projects for right now, so we can stay within budget. The other thing is we're going to develop a plan so that we can bring to the board so that we actually have budgeted items that the communication committee is going to do going into the next year, and actually have a detailed plan. And then I wanted to talk to Jonathan about other boards I've worked on where committees have charters that would be at the whim of the board of directors for the committee. This way it kind of outlines what the committee does and responsibilities of the committee would fall into that. So we actually have a communications committee charter and how that would work. So we're going to bring that information to the board hopefully next month at our meeting, and we'll be discussing at the communications meeting. I believe it's next week.
Great idea. Do I have a motion to approve the website communication report? Second. Follow.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
It's precedent for items 18, 19, 20, and the real reports, on GD. Preparedness, with 47, was one, was a two, five, was four, control council.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We're on to the line. On 18 nothing, 19 difference not in shot really on the slide and connected to the OCC everything the trunk work that we're which I here you go. Just whatever we don't hear. So I would make a motion to use the reader for the accounting firm for accounting.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor?
None.
Any opposed? They were planning on the rate.
That was. You were no action on their bill.
Any future agenda items? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?